Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we've got a brand new analysis video going over the new K2 5.56 assault rifle and the Mk12 5.56 DMR. Now we're going to pit these two guns against their most top fierce competitors like the M4, the G36, the Mini 14, and the QBU. Now during today's video, I have timestamps on the bottom so you can skip to any section if you want to jump right ahead to the conclusion. But if you'd like to see all the nitty gritty and learn the most you can about these new weapons, then let's go ahead and get started. Now to kick us off today, we're going to start with the K2 5.56 assault rifle, and we'll start with a baseline analysis of its recoil control using no attachments, flash hider, suppressor, and compensator, since this weapon cannot accept any underbarrel grips. Also, as a quick side note, throughout this video, I will not be explaining why I use any certain attachments on each gun. If you'd like to see it, I have an ultimate guide on PUBG attachments explaining every muzzle attachment, tactical stock, cheek pad, grips, you name it. I've got it all covered there for you. I'll link it in the top of your screen or in the description below. Okay, and as you can see, the K2 actually has a pretty good recoil pattern just right out the box since it can't accept any underbarrel attachments. So obviously a compensator is going to give you the best recoil control, so we're going to use that throughout the rest of the video. And what I'm interested in seeing is that how does the K2 stack up against the M4? One, with no attachments, and two, if both weapons have their best attachments. And as we can see, the K2 actually beats the M4 pretty badly too, considering no attachments. So this would be right out of a hot drop. This is the first gun you pick up. The first 10 or 15 bullets are very, very consistent with the K2. Then it does start to sidestep, whereas the M4 has a constant left and right bounce you're going to have to compete with. Now, if we look at an ideal scenario where both weapons have all of their proper attachments, the M4 does start to shine here with a clearly better vertical recoil and less left and right horizontal movement as well. Now, speaking of hot drops, another important stat is how quickly you can get your gun reloaded to see who can shoot their target the fastest. And I can report here that the G36, the M4, and the K2 have the exact same reload time, a little bit over 2 seconds. Although the G36 does have a slightly longer animation after the reload, where it's not able to fire quite as quickly. Next up, looking at the fire rate, we can see they all have an equal fire rate of 700 rounds per minute, so no benefit there. Now, if you're the kind of player that likes to use your AR as your long-range budget DMR, or you just like to do long-range sprays, you'll be happy to know that the K2 does have a slightly higher bullet velocity, meaning that the bullet does hit the target a little bit faster than compared to the M4. A couple of other key things to point out here. The K2 does seem to have a higher mounted sight over the rail and the muzzle when compared to the M4. And what that means for you is that you are going to have to aim a little bit higher than what you're used to, kind of like you have to do on the QBZ and the Groza to hit exactly where you're aiming. In addition to that, the M4 does seem to have a better shot after accuracy, meaning that you're going to have to pull down less on the M4 for your first couple of shots when compared to the K2. So that's something to keep in mind. All right, so what does all this mean for you as the player? Which weapon should you be picking up? Well, let's do a quick wrap up. Well, one of the most important stats, the damage on the weapon, goes to the K2 because it has 41 compared to 40 damage. But this isn't going to make that big of a difference when compared to no armor, level 1, level 2, or level 3 targets. It still takes the same shot to kill that the M4 does. The fire rate is exactly the same. The reload speed is exactly the same. The bullet velocity is a bit faster on the K2, which could make the difference on a kill scenario where your bullet hits the target faster than their M4 and your bullet is counted and theirs is not. So overall, I'd say the K2 is probably the better weapon for early game because its recoil pattern is very easy to control. It only needs one attachment, say a flash hider, a suppressor, or a compensator, and you're ready to rock and roll. But the M4 is going to shine mid to late game when you're actually able to get your favorite attachment, your compensator, and attack stock. So what I would do is take the K2 up front, hoard all those attachments until you have them all, then swap for an M4 when you find one. All right, I hope that comparison helped you guys decide on which AR is best for you. Now let's do a similar comparison on the new Mk12 DMR, and its main competitor is going to be the Mini 14, but since this weapon is kind of like a blend between the QBU and the SKS, I did some of those comparisons as well. All right, now we're going to start off with the recoil comparison just like we did in the K2, but on this one I'm going to start with the Mark 12 versus the QBU, crouched with no attachments, and ironically the QBU actually has a much better recoil pattern compared to the Mark 12. Now the story does change when we go prone with both weapons. The Mark 12 does even out and is only slightly less accurate than the QBU with no attachments. Now in the next test, I'm going to show you what a kitted out Mark 12 can do compared to a kitted out Mini 14. We'll do a crouch test and then a prone test. All right, now I'm sure you'll agree that this isn't that big of a difference. The Mark 12 arguably has better vertical recoil. Its shots are tighter together due to that lightweight grip and built-in cheek pad, but it actually does sway a little bit more left and right, so it has more horizontal recoil. The crazy part, as you'd expect, is when you go prone and deploy your bipod, in addition to holding your lightweight grip. The Mark 12 absolutely dominates the Mini 14. Check it out. I mean, it is absolutely insane. The Mark 12 looks like you shot only a quarter of the bullets, but that's 20 bullets fired from both weapons. So it's no question the Mark 12 takes the cake here, and considering it's so close, even when you're crouched, if you have a compensator and a lightweight grip, that it really begs the question, should you be using the Mini 14 anymore? In fact, it even gets worse from here for the Mini 14. When comparing both of the weapon sway, how much the crosshair moves without any of your adjustments, the Mark 12 is the clear winner here in crouched and in prone position. The Mark 12 only suffers slightly in the bullet velocity test at 930 meters per second, so it's not going to make that big of a difference even on long distance targets. And to compound onto that, when you are taking shots at long distance targets, the weapon recovery is way better on the Mark 12, requiring less input in between each shot, and your crosshair settles much faster and much closer to your original shot taken. And so what does this all mean for you, the player? It means you're able to pull off some insane shots like this with the Mark 12, to whereas like the Mini 14, you have to work your butt off. And I don't know about you, but I ain't Hambino. I need all the help I can get in this department. You know, one thing I didn't even mention yet that's so important is the damage difference that the Mark 12 has. The Mark 12 is rocking 50 damage, whereas the Mini 14 is only 46. That means that on a level 3 target, you only need 2 headshots and 4 chest shots with the Mark 12, whereas the Mini 14 needs 3 headshots and 5 chest shots. It's pretty significant. All right, so let's do a final recap of the DMRs. The Mark 12 clearly takes the cake on damage and recoil control considering all the proper attachments. Reload speed is a tie. The bullet velocity does slightly go in the Mini 14's favor. And I would say overall early game, the Mini 14 is probably the better weapon to go with, simply because of its very consistent recoil pattern right out of the box. Kind of like the K2 was, how you only need one thing on it to have it kitted out, like a flash hider or a compensator. But mid to late game, the Mark 12 is certainly going to be the one I'm going to want to pick up. And what I'll probably do is just hold on to those attachments until I get them, and then find a Mark 12 to swap it for. And as always, I'm super curious to hear your opinions. What are you deciding to take on the AR and DMR front? Are you going with any of these 5.56 variants, or are you just going to stick with the trust and true barrel SLR combo? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed today's video, guys, make sure to give it a thumbs up, share it with a buddy. We've got a bunch more PUBG content coming out for you guys. It's currently almost 1 a.m., so you guys are going to see this video tomorrow on July 4th. So happy 4th of July to everyone, and I hope you guys all have a great holiday with your family. Thank you so much for watching and supporting the channel. I will see you guys in the next video. Take care. Peace.